Richard Hoggart's Everyday Language and Everyday Life is a nuanced exploration of the intricate relationship between language and the fabric of daily existence. The book serves as a meditation on how ordinary language reflects and shapes the experiences, values, and social dynamics of the working and middle classes. Hoggart draws on his background in cultural studies to weave a tapestry that emphasizes the cultural significance of everyday speech, not merely as a means of communication, but as a repository of collective memory, social critique, and personal identity. Hoggart begins by situating language as a cultural artifact, deeply embedded in the rhythms of everyday life. He stresses that the words and phrases used in casual conversation are not random, but carry with them the weight of history, tradition, and shared understanding. These linguistic habits, often overlooked or dismissed as mundane, serve as markers of belonging and identity. Hoggart illustrates this with examples from colloquial English, revealing how expressions unique to certain regions or communities encapsulate the ethos of those groups. He argues that to understand a culture fully, one must delve into its ordinary language, as it is here that the true essence of a community's life is laid bare. One of the key themes in the book is the tension between the preservation of local dialects and the homogenizing forces of modernity. Hoggart is deeply concerned about the erosion of local speech patterns in the face of mass media, standardization, and globalization. He views language as a form of cultural heritage that carries the distinctiveness of a community's experience, and warns that the loss of these idiosyncrasies represents a loss of cultural richness. This critique extends to the influence of media and advertising, which he sees as fostering a language that is more about manipulation and less about genuine communication. Hoggart is particularly critical of the way in which commercial and political interests sew up everyday language, stripping it of its authenticity and reducing it to a tool for persuasion. The book also delves into the role of humor, irony, and storytelling in everyday language. Hoggart highlights how working-class communities, in particular, use humor as a coping mechanism and a way of asserting agency in the face of adversity. He examines the use of slang, jokes, and idiomatic expressions as vehicles for resistance and solidarity, showing how these linguistic practices reinforce communal bonds while subtly critiquing social hierarchies. Hoggart's sensitivity to the ways in which language can both reflect and challenge social structures is a hallmark of his cultural analysis. Another significant aspect of the book is its exploration of the educational system's impact on language and class. Hoggart reflects on his own experiences as a working-class boy who entered the academic world, observing the pressures to conform to standardized forms of speech and behavior. He discusses how the educational system often undervalues the richness of working-class language, framing it as inferior to the proper English of the middle and upper classes. This process, he argues, alienates individuals from their linguistic roots and perpetuates class divisions. Hoggart is critical of an education system that seeks to assimilate rather than celebrate linguistic diversity, advocating for an approach that respects and integrates the cultural and linguistic heritage of all students. Throughout the book, Hoggart underscores the moral dimensions of language use. He is concerned with the increasing superficiality of modern discourse where words are often used without consideration of their deeper meanings or implications. Hoggart calls for a return to a more thoughtful and responsible use of language, one that prioritizes clarity, sincerity, and the fostering of genuine human connections. He believes that language should not only convey information, but also reflect the speaker's integrity and respect for the listener. Hoggart's writing is infused with a deep nostalgia for the communal life of the past, particularly in working-class neighborhoods, where language played a central role in maintaining social cohesion. He contrasts this with what he sees as the growing fragmentation and individualism of contemporary society, where language is increasingly instrumentalized and stripped of its communal essence. Despite this, he remains hopeful about the resilience of everyday language and its capacity to adapt and thrive, even in the face of significant social and cultural changes.